Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Lost Film File, and today I'm going to talk about Him. Him is notorious for a couple reasons, one of which is that it is a gay porno Jesus movie, so there's that. The other is that for a long time it was considered a hoax, like that it wasn't real. And interestingly enough, it is real, but it's sort of the journey to figure out if this was real is sort of an interesting one. This was first kind of the biggest, even though this film came out in March of 1974, right around Easter, but also kind of what brought it to attention to lost film people and lost media people was when it was cited in the book The Golden Turkey Awards by the Medveds. Regardless of what Michael Medved would become later, the Golden Turkey Awards and what the Medveds did with their books about bad cinema kind of started this whole like love of bad movies as sort of an art form type of thing. It's actually sort of important in that, and it sort of changed what eventually become Mystery Science Theater and other things, so it actually does have a real place in film history, or at least the Golden Turkey Awards. And they said in it, under Michael Medved's own admission, that one of the movies in the book was faked, and everyone thought it was this one because it sounded ridiculous. And also, and probably the thing that leads most to people not believing that this film is real, is that how was there like a gay porno Jesus movie and like there was no protest, it wasn't a big deal, nobody freaked out about it, it just sort of like slid under the radar, and then 5 to 6 years later they could put it in their book and everyone would be like, what the hell is this? Like, honestly, the bigger thing is no one has seen this film, or at least wants to admit to seeing it. And it turns out the fake movie in the book was Dog of Norway, which was a fictional film. They illustrated with a photo of their dog in the book. So it was never him, it was Dog of Norway is not a real movie. And if you Google it, all you'll find is how Dog of Norway was the hoax movie in their book. So Him became this sort of lost film because no one could really find anyone who had worked on it, had seen it. It sounds ridiculous. It's actually, if you look at all the ads and kind of if you just peruse anything you can find on this film, which isn't very much, it'll say on the poster, it says, "Are you curious about his sexual life?" Which I'm assuming means Jesus. It doesn't say Jesus on the poster, it just says his and has a guy who looks like Jesus. So I guess you could understand if people were like, just thought it was like some guy with a beard and long hair, and it was like 1974, so I'd understand if you're like, I don't know, who the fuck is who is this guy? I don't know, like some random dude. But it's not about necessarily Jesus's sex life. It's about this kid who is erotically fascinated by Jesus and even goes to a confessional and a priest is jerking off and things like that and is fascinated by it and is turned on by Jesus. But it's not necessarily about Jesus, being gay and doing all these things, maybe in fantasies and stuff. I can't see this movie. I don't know if I would. It sounds like extremely hardcore pornography. It's not. But I think that's also why people were so shocked that this was real, because it does sound like something someone would make up and would become, like in the 80s, so many films were protested using Santa Claus as a horror film and things like that. Making a gay Jesus porno sounds like something people would protest, but it played in New York for 8 months at least at the 55th Street Playhouse. Apparently it played in a lot of places, and no one could find any information about it until they actually found real reviews, particularly ads in the Village Voice and a review in the Village Voice, and found a review from Screw Magazine, and were able to find through the advertising that it was reviewed in Variety, although that seems to have been harder to find, and found out that Him was a real movie. But the weirder thing is no one can find a scratchy film print. No one can find, a transfer to a VHS. Like, to anyone's understanding, it was never released on home video. I don't know, like, how well porn is preserved, to be honest. I know that like older porn is like that was played in theaters is kind of put on various internet sites and things like that, but Him seems to have not popped up on any of them, and a lot of people are looking for it. There was even an Australian lost film kind of aficionado who was looking for it and tried to like make some publicity about that, but never found it, to my understanding. And so since they have found reviews from Screw Magazine, from Variety, or know that Variety reviewed it according to their ads, and the Village Voice, it's known to have been a real film, but no one has found it. And it's sort of been this odd fascination where I don't think it seems like ridiculous. Like there's some like cat licking a guy's erect penis. There's something with a vacuum. It sounds to me like it's just a lot of hardcore gay pornography and then like some Jesus crap put in between or something. It seems like just like, I don't know how gay porno was in the 70s. I just find it so fascinating, this whole story, because it's like, okay, this is the hoax. Oh, it's not, but no one's seen it. The most kind of verification we got was the guy who actually played Jesus in the film, named Gustav von Will, who is known as a New York muralist called Tava. Then his partner, this guy Vinny Perillo, I think, and this is all an article on obscurityandbeyond.blogspot.com, which I will link below. And he had contacted the guy who wrote this article and showed him an actual still, which I'll show right now, which will be covered so it's safe for work or something. Although I think if you're like this far into the video anyway. So yeah, it seems like this film existed, but I think the thing that always surprised people is this film never got to be the controversial thing you thought it would be. And it has never appeared anywhere. I think if it came to light or someone found it, someone probably would review it. I don't know if I really, I don't really want to see a hardcore gay porno from the 70s, but I more am just fascinated by the fact that this film got released, played in apparently various cities, New York, Boston, and Ottawa, I think. So, a wide release apparently, and was around and in this book and was often discussed. And even in any description I could find of the Golden Turkey Awards book, it's always brought up actually as being like the film that everyone thought was the hoax and mistakenly thought of as the hoax. Even listed it as the most unerotic concept in pornography, which is quite the distinction. I think him will always probably be this lost film fascination, because you're like, how did this exist and sort of just like no one knew about it till the medveds found it. There's often the thing that many people wonder how they saw it, because it seems so obscure, but it's also like, how did it exist without anyone getting angry at it? Or if you want to go all conspiracy theory, and it did the Catholic Church or something destroy it, and we just have like little pieces of information because they burned every print that ever existed? Or were people just not really caring about 70s porno that didn't make that much money that much? Although 70s pornography was actually being taken more seriously at the time, so why was this film not a bigger deal? There's a lot of questions about this, and it kind of poses like, how did this happen? A film directed by Ed D. Long. How did this film that was released on March 27, 1974 not become this big controversial kind of crazy cult like gay porno movie? It never really happened. It just kind of, the reputation of it kind of lives on. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this lost film, because it was oddly fascinated me, going from a weird movie that you think people would make a fuss about that didn't, was considered a hoax, and then proven to be real, but no one has ever seen it, or at least admitted to seeing it, or being able to describe what the situation was when it was in it, other than the few reviews we can find, which will all be linked below. So yeah, I think this was just an odd movie where I'm just like, how did this happen? Like, this really happened. I guess the 70s were crazy because they just let the gay Jesus porno movie just like slide right by and disappear, because wow, this was real. And I think we can confirm it definitely happened. It just doesn't seem like a lot of people want to talk about its real existence. So if you want to talk about him and the fact that I did this for Lost Film File, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to. If anyone's offended, I'm sorry, I guess. I don't think it was offensive. I hope. Sorry.